Let us set the stage once again, where Nebraska softball has to once again torture itself with playing four more ranked teams. This is by far the worst scheduling I have ever seen, but hey, at least it gets us something, in the strength of schedule instead of the normal teams in Big Ten play. But what do you mean they're getting better? Anyway, so let's set the stage once again. As always, we start out with yet another ranked team. This time it's a little bit, higher than what Washington was, which is, oh, I guess I should mention, we did lose the final game to Washington because, you know, again, the story of the Nebraska. But, we come into this, it's LSU, it's somewhat of a, similar caliber team. We were in their regional last year. Couldn't tell you if we played them though. So we get there, and it was a 6-0 win. Okay, now just some light tomfoolery here. I wouldn't have expected us to shut them out because that's just not something that you do. But then we have, another ranked opponent. But this one is Georgia, and they are much lower ranked. They're like 18 or something. And then we do nothing. 6-5 loss. A comeback attempt was not in vain. It was not enough. And so we lose. Headed into a match against very clear number 3 Tennessee. Now, in the context of future and past matchups for Tennessee, a 4-1 loss isn't bad per se, but it still sucked because we couldn't hit the ball. And then we have our token one unranked team that is of the home field caliber, just the local team that they decided to have. And once again, 6-0. So LSU should feel ashamed that both of those scores were literally the same goddamn thing. Now, we're sitting here at 5-4, just not gonna be having a good time, of course, because we have yet again the number one team in the country on our doorstep. Now, you don't necessarily expect to go into this expecting a win, but there were some questionable things that I really would be like, okay, well, shit happens, and whatever. We can just go into this game as a clean slate. Jordy's gonna be out there pitching anyway, and then I flip on the TV and I see Jensen start, and I'm like, well, huh? That doesn't make sense. Maybe my eyes were wrong. That's a 90. Nope, that's a 99. Oh, okay, cool. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. We totally got this. Obviously, they trust her, and they trusted her so much that Jordy was playing a full 7 innings against the one unranked team, and I'm whatever. And the thing is that Jensen is very volatile against Georgia. Gave up 4 hits and 3 earned runs. Not necessarily something that you want to see per se. But then there's the real problem of McGee. I swear, I was about to blow a gasket when I saw McGee out there in the Georgia game, and then I about blew a gasket today. Thankfully, it didn't come in, but just like, okay, never send her out again. Never, just Jensen does enough, but again, it's number one Texas Tech. Surely this isn't gonna go well, and I mean, it didn't start out well, but I wouldn't say any of those runs were her fault. I would blame it on the fact that our third baseman was out from that game due to a terrible misfortunate event that happened in the previous game in which she dove for a pop-up bunt, caught it, and then randomly rolled her arm or something. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure the full story, but that's the reason why our normal third baseman Bland wasn't out there. Because as you can see right there, third baseman. I know, very tiny text we're working with, but maybe if I... There we go. Yeah, you see, Land, third baseman, did okay in the Georgia game. About as much as you can expect from a team that... Well, but okay, okay, we're starting the rookie, and Texas, they started their freshman, so maybe no, they didn't start. They didn't have any freshmen. They have like two of the best pitchers. So obviously, considering all these things that are going against Nebraska, let me tell you that yet again a number one team has fallen to Nebraska. I'm sorry, I can't keep that in. Okay, so after all of the things that has happened, over this week, where we have lost to teams like Georgia, have struggled to teams like UTSA, lost to Washington, struggled against these, teams that are not necessarily the greatest, against the number one team in the country, not once but twice, we have defeated them. It's not even like Texas Tech had a loss before this that would maybe understand. They were still crushing teams, like by a lot. They crushed teams, and maybe it had to do something with the fact that they had to scrunch a lot of the games because apparently there's some like big storm coming to Florida. I mean, you can just tell by the fact that the Daytona was moved up by an hour, but just like the questions that I had coming into this game were, can we effectively run around the base paths? And the answer to this game was still no. That base running thing I mentioned cost us at least one game, 2 runs against Georgia. But in this one, it didn't really matter because in the one time in which it would have mattered, Texas Tech took the ball and just yeeted that ball out of there, and it didn't matter. So, okay, thanks for making our lives easier. I guess, I don't know, just a lot of questionable things that ended up working in Nebraska's favor either way because whatever. Jensen did pretty good for a freshman going up against what is probably the better number one team. After all, they didn't give up 8; they gave up 3, and just a good amount of hitting finally went our way against in the 4th inning. Farrell getting us the 2-run home run. Thank you. I was impressed with the fact that Jensen was able to get a lot of strikes with the opposing, with the batter thinking that it was a free pass, but nope, it was a strike. I will say though, that last strike was, let's just say the ref might have gotten, $1, but that was not fun. More of he had to make up for the fact that okay, so when you foul a ball off, when you hit a ball and it hits your foot, it is considered a dead ball. Now, let me tell you that the umpire decided to then rule that our player was out. So yeah, that's where the $1 came into play because we had to get one back, bitch. Yeah, that's how it worked. And just a lot of need for this win because we were about to head into a much easier classic where there are only 2 ranked teams. I think there could be just one at the end of this. There could be 2 ranked teams in a de facto home team in California, and then there's Oklahoma State after that. But that's something for 2 weeks from now to worry about. But that's a lot of doubleheaders, Friday and Sunday. While there was only one doubleheader, which was on Thursday, and I questioned why was it not on like a Friday or Saturday anyway. But just like we needed something positive to actually end this, so that we can go into next week, actually having something. Just Cool. I hope for the people that are watching the rerun in about 30 minutes, I hope they're going to be pleasantly surprised with how this outcome comes out to be. But yeah, and that's still funny that they're going to be doing this as a rerun. Nope, not as a Texas Tech beatdown, but Texas Tech getting bing out of here. Yeah, so Nebraska ends this invitational with yet another 3-2. Just can't ever get a 4-1. But hey, it's a positive record. Next week we might be able to get a 4-1. Cause that would be sweet for once. That'd be cool. And yeah, uh, just happy that they got that win. It would have been nice if they were able to at least show some prowess against Georgia and Tennessee. Honestly, I can take the Tennessee loss, but the Georgia one, ugh, yeah, I was questioning why our head coach was out at third base making some of those base running decisions, but you know, can't win them all. But to my Red Raider audience, you know, to the zero that are out there, it's just the story of the Red Raider boy. You would know. You would know the full story. After all, he didn't even win it all last year. But hey, take solace in the fact that you're not the only one to have lost to Nebraska as a number one team. You can go join your buddies in Texas. We're 3-1 against Texas-based teams. You love to see it. All right. Well, I didn't think be making another one of these. I jokingly said if they did it again, I would, and this is me making do on that, which is why I made the same opening. Yeah. I never want to have another one of these kinds of schedules. I mean, Texas Tech had their first like 3 games against barely rated teams, so I'm surprised we even bothered with coming out with 2 games, first 2 of our first 3 against Texas, because fun. But yeah, 6-4, and we probably will be moving down 2 in the rankings because of how terrible we were against everybody else. As always, chaos reigns supreme, and I will see you guys for probably the actual Bears recap. Hopefully. Alright. I'm just. Suck it, the state, Texas. Suck it! Anyway. Goodbye.